So a couple of weeks ago, I was at home and the phone rang. Now, you know me, I don't answer the phone. Sorry, everybody. Unless I know who it is. And it wasn't a withheld number, but it was a local number. But I still don't answer the phone. It was about 5:30, 5:45. And I thought, So I answered it. Is that Mr. Taylor? Yes, it's Rob from Audi at Amersham. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Well,
That's where you got your car from, right?
yeah, and that's where it's the local dealer that deals with the car because it's leased. But that's the local dealership. But Audi Amersham, that's fine. That's enough. I'll stay on the phone. We've just had a notification from your car letting us know that it's due for a software upgrade and service within the next 1,000 miles. When would you like to book that in?
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And I mean, there are so many things that I took from it. One, the time that they called me. I said, did you call me in the evening deliberately? He said, oh, yeah, we don't want to disturb our customers at work.
Mm-hmm. Clever.
Okay.
They've really thought about that.
I've really thought about it. And it's in that time where people are travelling home. Mm-hmm. So if they'd called in the car probably would have answered for me. I don't know, you know. Two, the fact that the tech exists, that without me knowing, the car has pinged the service centre a message saying, I'm due for a service and a software upgrade. Mm-hmm. And that is just so cool. And he then said to me, so any issues with the car? And I went, well, it's okay. I think there might be, the tyres might need doing. And he, well, let me have a look. I'm like, are you outside my house? And he's like, no. So he literally, I can hear him tapping away. He goes, yeah, either there's a problem with the sensor or your rear left tyre is a bit flat. And they've done about 18,000 miles, so we'll change them. And I'm just like, what? Am I really old? But it was just such. I think the really interesting thing is that at that point, the only thing he hadn't clocked is it was on lease. So I said to him, by the way, this is a lease. This is covered, you know, by my. And he looked at it and said, yep, all covered. When you want to book it in. So up until that point, he didn't know whether I was going to be a direct paying customer to Audi Amersham or I'd already paid for it. But he didn't treat me any differently.
No.
There was no sales involved other than selling to help.
Yeah.
I said, not would you like to book it in? When would you like to book it in? I presume you'd like a courtesy car. Good news, the earliest we can do that is the end of November. But looking at your mileage, that's going to be fine on the timescales. And apart from anything else, everybody's got time in their diary 6 weeks from now. Not trying to squeeze it in 2 weeks' time. Yeah. All relaxed. Assumed that I wanted a courtesy car. Because why wouldn't I? I drive an Audi. It's
well, if you drive a car, I mean, you use the car every day, so
True.
Why would you not want a courtesy car?
Yeah, we may have a second car that I can bundle away by, but he assumed that I would. Mm-hmm. You know, he didn't wait for me to say, can I have one? And it was just such a smooth process. It was so easy. And I probably have another call from them because the car will talk to them. There's 18 months left on the lease. I'm sure it'll speak to them again. That would freak me out a little bit, but in a good way. How many of us in our businesses are putting off or not calling previous customers because we're worried about coming across like we're going to be selling to them?
Yeah. I don't know if people don't call customers because of that. I think it, certainly for me when I had my business, it was more to do with I'm busy and I don't have time to have conversations unless I'm essentially getting something out of it. That's such a wrong way to think, but that is the reality, is you've got all these other things to do and some of those will bring you income. So why would you then call up a customer just to say, hi, how's everything going? It's very short-sighted.
But obviously this situation, the car has told them there's a service due, a software update due. Okay, so there's a reason to call me.
Yeah, there's a
but
relationship.
But it can't be that difficult to go. You take your business, for example. I sold this child a top a year ago. That child has grown.
Yeah.
I'll call them up and see whether it still fits. You don't need the top to tell you as a business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just making note of what you... Because people come to our businesses because they want something and they've chosen you. Why put them through the effort and hassle? I mean, let's say the car had told me that it needed a service. I might then have had to spend an hour ringing around different garages, online or offline, trying to get some time to booked in, because it's something I need to do, and it's something I want to do. Well, they've just taken care of it. They've just made it so easy by reaching out to me, and it's that kind of. I keep coming across people who are just almost fearful of getting in touch with old customers.
I think it's having the right conversation to actually have with them that isn't pressured and isn't kind of like, because it's easy to say, oh, your child's grown and they must have grown out of their jacket or whatever, but that's a sales pitch, isn't it? And the customer on the other end of the phone feels that quite quickly, so they're like, well, you're only calling me because you want me to buy another jacket. So it's coming up with something that is plausible and real, that is not necessarily and hey, would you like to buy something else from me?
Yeah, that's really...
There's a reason to call them just to say, hey, we're just keeping in touch, you know.
But I find that's really interesting, because when he called, he didn't know I was a lease customer. So when he called and said the car's told him that... at that point, he's probably going to, possibly thinking there's a 1,500 quid, £2,000 bill here. Because it's a full day in the garage, a couple of guys working on it, on tech, 4 new tyres, that's £1,000 there, and the rest. Great, and they're huge, these wheels. They're like, you can't see that if you're listening, but
massive.
Just for YouTube, they're that big. And they are literally.
But you do need that, whether you use them or whether you use a different garage. You need to have it serviced.
But a regular ice skater needs a new jacket if they grow out of it.
But they don't need. I was going to say they don't need to get it from you, but you don't need to get your service from Audi either.
Or that particular garage. There's one in Uxbridge. So there's one down in Slough. There's
maybe I think in my analogy of the ice skating, maybe the easier thing to do would be to say your child had a personalised jacket a year ago.
Have they changed their name?
No. I was thinking more of, would you like us to send you a repair kit in case any crystals have come off or something like that? Because it's not too salesy. And then the parent at that point might go, well, actually, there's not much point because they've grown out of it, or there's not much wear left in it. Well, they might go, yeah, that would be great. Thank you very much. But it's a more positive experience than just...
she lost it. Can we have another one?
Yeah, just more positive rather than just going, oh, I see your child bought a jacket a year ago. They've probably grown. Would you like to buy another one?
And I get that. And they are two different business models, aren't they? And you've got retail versus service, basically. Okay, the retail bit ended once I bought the car, even though I've leased it, so let's assume I bought it. You're there then getting into literally service mode and making sure it's
That's why I was going with maybe you need a repair pack of crystals or something, because what you wouldn't get is Audi calling you up and saying, I see you've had your car a year, do you want another one? Do you want to buy a new one?
No, but if they're smart, about 6 months before the lease is up.
I agree with that. And that's what I mean, is it's about picking the right time to do it when you've not necessarily but when you've got a good chance of predicting that your customer's going to be in the right mind frame. So 6 months before the lease is up, or that kind of 3-year mark, they probably are thinking about buying a new car or leasing a new car, because lots of people keep it under that 3-year mark. It's less obvious with something like clothing, because you don't know how fast a child grows, or whether they've got lots of other things and this is only one of things that they wear in rotation.
It's very, I find it fascinating, because I'm just there in my head. I was just trying to think about places I visited recently, maybe with Kay or on my own or whatever, and pretty much, other than through email. Well, one, I can't really remember where I've been, but that's because they're not reminding me. And two, the only way I seem to get reminded is by email.
Yeah.
And I get so many emails that I forget.
I don't even open them. I just swipe.
So, if you're delivering anything of reasonably high value, don't hide behind the email. Don't just, okay, well, we've got it all automated because that's the easy thing to do. How difficult would it be to make a phone call?
But then maybe that's the differentiator is in part to do with the value, the cost of that product. Ringing up and saying, hey, do you want to buy a £50 jacket? Topshop don't ring me up every time I've bought something and say, hey, they might send me an email.
But you'll get emails with vouchers on them and discount
don't disagree
codes
with that, but they're not
it.
ringing me up and saying, hey, we saw that you bought a dress last Christmas, just before Christmas. Are you in the market for another party dress? But I could see that happening if you did, I don't know, carpet cleaning, for example. Hey, I've seen that you had your carpets cleaned just after Christmas last year. Do you want to book in now because we're getting booked up? Do you want to get that booked in now? Or something like, you booked a birthday dinner at our restaurant last year. Because there's a repeated business there.
And this is the thing. That's one of the things that I'm actually thinking about. Is we've been to a couple of restaurants recently, really nice. There's one in Amersham that we found, which was an Indian tasting menu. Fantastic. And we booked, and at booking they took our email and they've got our phone number. I promise you, I will put the house on it, right? We will never hear from them. Never hear from them. And it was our neighbour's birthday and they brought a cake out. How hard, but we will not hear from them.
Yeah.
We spent what did we spend? About 600 quid between the four of us. On a Thursday night. There were like 3 other couples in there. 6:15 sitting. We wanted it early. I mean, the lifetime value of that is massive, isn't it? And I think there are other examples as well. That's high value.
Yeah.
But I kind of get it with us getting tops or bottles or sweets or whatever. But
high value stuff.
So many of us are running businesses where there is high value or potentially high value stuff, or you can turn people, especially when you're starting out, from low value to higher value because you're communicating effectively and you're talking to people. And I just thought it was such a fascinating experience. I mean, I so enjoyed the phone call to the point that we're talking about it, and it's in my diary, and I'm looking forward to dropping it off and.
I think
seeing what
just
car they'll fob me
talking
off with.
about it, I think it I'm not saying it can't be used on product-based businesses, but I think it lends itself better to service-based.
Yeah.
So I could see why, you had your carpets cleaned last year, you had a birthday photo shoot last year. Do you want to have another one to mark your, I know Emma does like newborn photo shoots and things like that, or wedding. Do you want a first anniversary?
Yeah.
That type of stuff, even down to things like marketing. You ran a campaign for Black Friday this year. What are your thoughts? Have you planned anything for this year? That works quite well. But they're all
that's phone call, surely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But they're all services. It's not so easy when you say, hey, you bought a sofa from us last year. Do you fancy buying a chair this year? Or, it's not as... I'm not saying it's impossible, but it doesn't lend itself as easily as a service. So maybe that's something to think about, is just if you're running a service-based business, there has got to be phone calls that you can make for repeat business.
Or somebody else can do it for you in the right way, in a nice way. I mean, I'm presuming, what was it, Rob? I think it was Rob. I can't remember what his name was. I think it was Rob from Amersham. I'm presuming he's sitting there at Amersham working away because he's got access to their systems. It might have been a call centre.
Could have been.
I don't know. I don't really care.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I guess my question then to people listening this week is, does your business, 1, sell high value service or products? 2, if it doesn't, could it? And 3, what are you doing to remind your customers on a regular basis, if you could turn one high value sale a year into two, what would that do to your business? If you could, turn two into three, what would that do to your business?
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a phone call. It could be a letter saying, hey, we've got this event going on. We thought you might be interested.
Yep.
Or it could be, a gift, relatively small value gift, but a gift that you send, I don't know, going back to carpet cleaning, here's a free bottle of, I don't know, stain remover, or, you bought a chopping board off us a year ago as a gift. Here's no, I was thinking of like an oil, like a little bottle of oil, something like that keeps the contact going. People go, oh, that's really great customer service. Maybe I should look and see. I've got a wedding coming up. Maybe I should see if there's anything that I can buy. It's just that way of keeping in contact, but not email. Because I don't know about you, but I get hundreds of emails, and I delete 90% of them without even opening them.
I think a lot of people do. I mean, I read mine, but I just think if somebody selling something high value just emailed me without doing anything else, because that buying process is becoming longer and customers are becoming more and more astute. But I think when you've got something, when you've sold something to somebody who's in possession of it, and you've got an opportunity to improve it, add to it,
or sell a complimentary
sell something complimentary, pick up the phone. I think.
Or maybe it's that you're in their area.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that, and my question for this week is, what you're selling, does it lend itself to a phone call, to get a repeat purchase or a servicing of that product? Don't hide behind the email. And I think we
spend a lot of time and energy and money chasing new customers, don't we?
Yes, and interactions like that with Audi kind of just cement. And it might be that BMW drivers get exactly the same experience, and it makes them go, I'm a BMW driver for life because of that experience. I'm an Audi driver for life because of that experience. They're making it very difficult for me to come away from being an Audi customer, because that was really sticky. It was really sticky. It took away all the friction, and we talk about friction quite a lot. There was just zero friction in it. When would you like to book it in? And it was just 30th of November, whatever it is. So if you see me driving around a BMW on the 30th of November, you'll know why. No, I'm sure they'll give me that would be interesting to see what car whether they give me an upsale or a down or a better version of what I've got.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because they often give you like the smallest, cheapest car that they do. Wouldn't it be great if they gave you like top of the range snazzy thing and you drove around going, wow, look at this.
When I get
my
new
next
one,
car, this is what I want.
That would be the smart thing to do. It would be. Yeah. Cool. Well, see you next week.
See you next week.
Yeah.